So we all know by now that Skyrim has some pretty incredible mods. The community has created full-on quest lines, new game mechanics, weapons, whatever this thing is, and now there's even a mod recreating the entirety of Oblivion within Skyrim. Skyrim's modding community is the key reason why the game continues to grow even 10 years after its initial release, and it's all thanks to the extremely talented minds behind these mods. I remember one of the first times I ever experimented with mods, I tried a player-created questline called the Forgotten City. This mod was absolutely nuts. There were brand new enemies to fight, an intriguing story full of twists, and even its own fully voiced dialogue. This was when I really started to recognize the potential behind Skyrim's engine. And as it happens, the creators of this mod decided to make an entire game out of it. When I first heard Forgotten City was going to be its own standalone experience, I was super excited. Not only was the game bound to bring back tons of nostalgia for me, but it was also built on the same ideas that made me fall in love with Skyrim modding in the first place. So, does Forgotten City hold enough potential to warrant its own standalone game? How much has been improved from the original, and what stayed the same? I'll be going over all of that and more in my review of Modern Storyteller's The Forgotten City. Forgotten City's plot is a remixed version of the classic time loop concept. Basically, when the game kicks off, you're in modern day, and after stumbling your way into ruins of old Roman structures, you find a time portal sending you all the way back to the height of ancient Rome. The main idea is that a cursed tragedy is about to occur, and you need to find a way to stop it before it happens. If you fail, well, you start the whole journey over from when you first entered the portal. Luckily, you do get to hold on to the important information you gather from each loop, with the idea that each attempt brings you closer to solving the mystery and stopping the inevitable from happening. Now, that's pretty much all I want to tell you about the plot, because I think going into any more specifics would spoil some of the story for you. And you definitely don't want to be spoiled, because the story is by far the highlight of Forgotten City. A lot of the plot seems to be heavily inspired by murder mystery films, where at the beginning you meet an overwhelming amount of characters who could be potential suspects. Right out of the gate, there is a lot of information being thrown at you, making it hard to find a clear lead. But once you have one-on-one interviews with each character, it becomes a lot easier to find your footing. Plus, the Forgotten City is filled with twists and turns, which adds weight to each conversation and makes every line of dialogue feel purposeful. Because you're playing the role of detective, it's very important to pay close attention to the details of everyone's stories, and it's rewarding to find that each character is connected in one way or another. Compared to the Skyrim mod that came before it, there is a similar structure to the story, but it's just so many leaps ahead of what it used to be. The developers clearly picked up a ton of new tricks in order to tell this story, and even if you just played the Skyrim mod, this feels like a completely different game. I also want to mention how rewarding Forgotten City's world feels to explore. The city itself is filled with tangled streets and secret underground passageways, making it very easy to get lost when you first start out. But after going through a few time loops and using trial and error to uncover important information, you start to learn different routes to get from one place to another as efficiently as possible. Time management is essential in Forgotten City, because you want to be able to get as much done as possible before the loop restarts itself. So finding the fastest way to get around is very important. Sometimes you need to take a tunnel in order to avoid the tangled streets, or maybe you're gonna hop on a zip line or jump into a pool of water from a cliff. It really helps to find these quick routes around the city, but it's also very rewarding to tread off the beaten path to find secret items and treasure. Forgotten City's voice acting is very strong as well, which isn't too surprising because of how great the Skyrim mod's acting was. The actors do an incredible job bringing these characters to life, and none of them stand out as weak compared to the others. The characters themselves are also pretty intriguing. I will say it was difficult to remember everyone because there's definitely a lot of characters, but again, as your journey progresses and you set goals for each run using the helpful quest journal, each character really begins to shine. Galerius was by far my favorite of the characters. At first he's seemingly unimportant, but without going into spoilers, he becomes a much more essential piece to the puzzle later on. As for the music, I thought it was fine, but it definitely didn't take the forefront. There are a lot of soothing tracks that play as you explore the world, taking a lot of inspiration from traditional Roman music, but it didn't really blow my mind, which I guess is fine because it doesn't really need to. Really high energy and catchy music would probably be distracting during moments where you need to interrogate a character, so I'm not really complaining. I am very happy to say that Forgotten City completely outshined its humble Skyrim beginnings. Was it worth making a whole new game over? Absolutely. There is so much room for this game to set itself apart, and there's also a lot of opportunities for them to get creative. I'm really glad Forgotten City isn't just rehashing the same layout of the original, and it definitely found a way to become something truly special. I'm pretty excited to see what the developers have coming next. So I've got a question for you guys. What Skyrim mod do you think deserves its own game? Make sure to leave a comment down below to let me know. Don't forget to subscribe for more weekly reviews. I have gotten a ton of suggestions from you guys recently, and I think Dark Souls 3 is coming next, or at least whenever I finish it. Anyways, keep gaming to the fullest, guys. I hope you have a good day. Peace.